The 6 unacceptable behaviors should never be tolerated. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. In our personal and professional lives, the way we allow others to treat us defines the quality of our relationships and even our self-worth. Former Secret Service agent and author Evy Poumpouras reminds us that there are certain behaviors we should never tolerate, no matter who they come from. These unacceptable behaviors, if ignored, can slowly erode our confidence, boundaries, and peace of mind. Today, we'll explore 6 key behaviors that must be recognized and addressed: disrespect, manipulation, broken boundaries, dishonesty, disloyalty, and negativity. By learning to identify and stand firm against these actions, we empower ourselves to live with greater integrity, confidence, and self-respect. Disrespect and dismissiveness. Disrespect is one of the most toxic behaviors anyone can face, yet it often begins subtly: a sarcastic remark, a dismissive gesture, or a tone that belittles rather than builds. According to Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and expert in human behavior, disrespect should never be tolerated under any circumstances. It erodes self-esteem, damages trust, and sends a dangerous message that it is acceptable for others to devalue you. When we accept disrespect, we unconsciously lower our own standards and teach others that poor treatment is permissible. Respect is not something we ask for, it is something we command through how we carry ourselves and how firmly we draw our boundaries. Disrespect comes in many forms: verbal, emotional, and even non-verbal. It could be someone constantly interrupting you when you speak, mocking your opinions, ignoring your contributions, or using sarcasm to undermine your confidence. In professional settings, disrespect can manifest as a supervisor taking credit for your work or colleagues disregarding your input during meetings. In personal relationships, it can show up as partners who belittle your feelings or friends who joke at your expense. The danger lies in how easily these actions can become normalized. The moment we start excusing such behavior with phrases like, "That's just how they are," we give away our power and allow that negativity to grow. Evy Poumpouras emphasizes that respect begins with self-respect. You cannot expect others to value you if you constantly downplay your worth. Standing up for yourself is not arrogance, it is self-preservation. When someone disrespects you, address it calmly but firmly. You don't have to react with anger, instead, respond with clarity. For instance, saying, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way," communicates that you have boundaries without escalating conflict. It also shows that you hold yourself to a standard that demands respect. People may not always agree with you, but they should always know that you respect yourself enough not to accept poor treatment. Disrespect is often a reflection of the person giving it, not the one receiving it. People who belittle others are usually trying to compensate for their own insecurities or desire for control. Understanding this helps you detach emotionally from their behavior. However, recognizing the reason behind their actions does not mean you should excuse it. Compassion should never come at the cost of your dignity. As Evy Poumpouras often says, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes, walking away is the most powerful statement you can make. Choosing peace over confrontation does not mean weakness. It means knowing your value and refusing to waste energy on those who refuse to see it. Another important aspect of handling disrespect is consistency. It's not enough to call it out once, you have to continuously uphold your boundaries. If you let things slide occasionally, people begin to test how far they can go. Consistency teaches others that you mean what you say. Over time, you will notice that those who truly respect you will adjust their behavior, while those who don't will drift away. Either outcome benefits you. One strengthens your relationships, the other clears space for healthier ones. In conclusion, disrespect and dismissiveness are never acceptable because they diminish the very core of who you are. Allowing someone to devalue you is like giving them permission to rewrite your worth. Respect is a two-way street. You give it freely, but you must also demand it in return. As Evy Poumpouras teaches, confidence is not about being louder or tougher. It's about knowing your boundaries and standing firm in them. When you respect yourself, you naturally attract people who do the same. So never apologize for expecting respect. It's not arrogance, it's self-worth in action. Manipulation and gaslighting. Among the most dangerous and emotionally draining behaviors one can encounter is manipulation, especially when it comes in the form of gaslighting. Evy Poumpouras warns that manipulation is a silent weapon used by those who seek control, not connection. It's subtle, strategic, and often disguised as care or concern. Manipulators twist words, distort truths, and make you question your own judgment. Over time, this erodes confidence and leaves you dependent on the manipulator for validation. The truth is, once someone begins to control your emotions or decisions, you lose sight of your own voice. That is why Poumpouras insists that manipulation and gaslighting are behaviors we should never tolerate, not even once. Manipulation works through psychological pressure. The manipulator studies your weaknesses, your emotions, and your triggers, then uses them to get what they want. It could be a colleague who constantly guilt-trips you into doing their work, a friend who plays the victim to avoid responsibility, or a partner who twists arguments until you end up apologizing for something you didn't do. These tactics are deliberate. Manipulators thrive in confusion. The more uncertain you feel, the more control they gain. Gaslighting, in particular, is one of the cruelest forms of manipulation because it makes you question your own reality. It's when someone denies your experiences, dismisses your emotions, and makes you feel crazy for noticing the truth. Evy Poumpouras often emphasizes the importance of trusting your instincts. When something feels wrong, it usually is. Manipulators rely on your hesitation, your tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt. But healthy relationships don't make you doubt yourself, they make you feel understood and secure. If you constantly find yourself explaining your feelings or defending your perspective, that's not love or respect. It's control. You should never have to fight for the right to be heard or believed. Learning to recognize these red flags early on can save you from long-term emotional damage. A key strategy Poumpouras recommends is emotional detachment. Manipulators feed off reaction. They want you angry, flustered, or desperate, because emotion clouds logic. The moment you remain calm and refuse to engage emotionally, you take away their power. Respond with facts, not feelings. Use clear and assertive language such as, "That's not how I remember it," or, "Let's stick to the facts." By staying grounded, you make it harder for manipulators to twist your reality. Remember, the goal is not to win the argument, but to protect your peace of mind. Equally important is setting firm boundaries. Manipulators hate boundaries because boundaries limit their control. When you say no or stop responding to emotional traps, they may react with anger or guilt trips. But that's a sign you're doing the right thing. You must be willing to walk away if someone consistently violates your emotional safety. As Poumpouras says, you can't fix someone who benefits from breaking you. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's necessary for survival. You are not responsible for managing another person's emotions, especially when they use them as weapons. It's also essential to rebuild trust in yourself after being manipulated. Gaslighting can leave lasting scars, self-doubt, anxiety, and even shame. But healing begins the moment you stop questioning your reality and start believing your intuition again. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who listen without judgment, and who validate your truth. Confidence grows in safe spaces, not in the presence of manipulators. Forgive yourself for not seeing the manipulation sooner. Awareness is the first step toward empowerment. In conclusion, manipulation and gaslighting are among the most destructive behaviors anyone can face. They rob you of your confidence, clarity, and sense of self. But once you learn to recognize the signs and reclaim your boundaries, you take back control of your life. Evy Poumpouras teaches that true strength is not in dominating others, but in refusing to be dominated by deceit. When you choose truth over confusion and boundaries over control, you reclaim your voice and your power. Never tolerate manipulation, because you deserve honesty, not games, respect, not control, and authenticity, not illusion. Broken boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are the lines that define who we are, what we value, and how we expect to be treated. According to Evy Poumpouras, allowing others to cross your boundaries is one of the greatest acts of self-betrayal. Boundaries are essential for self-respect, emotional health, and balanced relationships. They protect your peace, your energy, and your identity. Yet many people struggle to maintain them because they fear conflict, rejection, or being labeled as difficult. The truth is, when you fail to enforce your boundaries, you invite disrespect, exhaustion, and resentment into your life. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it's an act of strength, clarity, and self-love. A broken boundary occurs whenever someone disregards your limits, whether emotional, physical, or professional. It could be a friend who constantly takes advantage of your kindness, a colleague who dumps their responsibilities on you, or a partner who invades your privacy. These violations might seem small at first, but repeated over time, they drain your confidence and blur your sense of control. Evy Poumpouras teaches that when you allow someone to cross a line once without consequence, they will likely cross it again. The more you tolerate, the more they take, until your boundaries disappear altogether. This is why it's crucial to recognize boundary violations early and respond with firmness and composure. Many people fear that setting boundaries will make them seem rude or uncaring, but in reality, boundaries communicate respect, both for yourself and for others. When you clearly state what is acceptable and what isn't, you give people a roadmap for how to interact with you. Those who truly value you will appreciate your honesty. Those who don't will resist because they benefit from your lack of limits. As Poumpouras often says, people don't respect boundaries you don't enforce. It's not enough to have them in your mind, you must communicate them confidently and consistently. For example, saying, "I'm not available right now," or "that comment makes me uncomfortable," are simple yet powerful ways to assert your space. Enforcing boundaries also means being willing to face discomfort. Standing up for yourself can be challenging, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize others over yourself. But every time you choose to honor your limits, you strengthen your self-worth. Boundaries are not meant to control others, they're meant to control your exposure to situations that drain or harm you. It's about protecting your energy from those who take more than they give. Poumpouras reminds us that your time, attention, and emotional energy are precious currencies. Spend them wisely. If someone continually disregards your boundaries despite your efforts, it may be time to reevaluate their place in your life. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they are rigid or unkind. In truth, they are flexible and compassionate. They allow relationships to flourish in mutual respect. When both sides understand and honor each other's limits, trust deepens. Boundaries create emotional safety, not distance. However, it's important to remember that consistency is key. You cannot demand respect for your boundaries if you keep making exceptions for certain people. The line you draw must remain steady, even when it's difficult. As Poumpouras says, every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to yourself. In conclusion, broken boundaries are among the most damaging experiences we can face because they slowly strip away our sense of control and self-respect. But the power to prevent that lies entirely within us. We teach others how to treat us by what we allow, what we stop, and what we reinforce. Setting and protecting your boundaries is not about keeping people out. It's about letting the right people in. When you honor your limits, you attract relationships built on understanding and equality, not dependency or control. As Evy Poumpouras wisely puts it, boundaries are the highest form of self-respect. So, protect them fiercely, because you deserve a life defined by dignity, not depletion. Dishonesty and deception. Honesty is the foundation of trust, and without trust, no relationship, personal or professional, can truly survive. Evy Poumpouras often emphasizes that dishonesty and deception are non-negotiable behaviors that should never be tolerated, no matter how small or well-intentioned they may seem. Lies, even the subtle ones, corrode integrity and create an invisible barrier between people. The moment deceit enters a relationship, authenticity disappears. Whether it's a coworker hiding the truth, a friend concealing their intentions, or a partner twisting facts, dishonesty always brings destruction. It might start as something seemingly harmless, but it always ends in broken confidence and emotional distance. Deception is powerful because it manipulates reality. A person who lies doesn't just hide the truth, they create a false version of it. Over time, this leaves the other person confused and uncertain about what to believe. Evy Poumpouras, who spent years in the Secret Service reading human behavior, often explains that deception is a choice, not a mistake. It is a conscious decision to mislead someone for personal gain, convenience, or fear of consequences. While people may justify lies to protect others, the truth is that lies only protect the liar. They take away another person's right to make informed choices. Once someone lies to you, you must question not only what they said, but everything they have said before. In professional environments, dishonesty can be especially destructive. It undermines teamwork, damages reputations, and erodes trust within an organization. When colleagues withhold information, exaggerate accomplishments, or take credit for others' work, they poison the culture of honesty that every successful team depends on. In leadership, integrity is everything. A leader who lies may gain short-term control but will eventually lose long-term respect. As Poumpouras often notes, credibility is hard to earn and easy to lose. One dishonest act can undo years of reliability. Once people learn they cannot trust your word, your influence diminishes immediately. In personal relationships, dishonesty cuts even deeper. Trust is the emotional glue that holds people together. When that glue is weakened by lies, no amount of affection or apology can fully repair the damage. Gaslighting, hiding messages, or omitting key details are all forms of deception that can leave lasting emotional scars. People deserve truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Telling the truth is not always easy. It requires courage, empathy, and emotional maturity. But honesty, even when painful, leads to clarity, while deception only creates confusion and resentment. As Evy Poumpouras wisely reminds us, if someone lies once, they'll do it again, especially if there are no consequences. It is also important to understand that honesty begins with yourself. Many people deceive themselves long before they deceive others. We convince ourselves that a relationship is fine when it's falling apart, or that a lie is harmless because it avoids confrontation. But self-deception keeps us stuck in denial. To live with integrity, you must be truthful in your actions, your emotions, and your choices. When you hold yourself accountable to honesty, you naturally expect and attract the same from others. Self-honesty is the foundation for personal growth. It allows you to face reality, make better decisions, and maintain peace of mind. Standing up against dishonesty requires courage. It means calling out lies even when it's uncomfortable, and walking away from people who refuse to live truthfully. Some individuals may get defensive when confronted, trying to justify or downplay their actions. But silence in the face of deception is a form of acceptance. You must decide what your boundaries are and enforce them firmly. When you demand honesty, you set a standard, not just for others, but for yourself. As Poumpouras teaches, truth may hurt for a moment, but lies hurt forever. In conclusion, dishonesty and deception destroy the foundation upon which respect, trust, and loyalty are built. They rob relationships of authenticity and create emotional chaos. By choosing honesty, both in how you speak and how you live, you not only protect your integrity, but also inspire it in others. Evy Poumpouras' message is clear: honesty is not just a moral choice, it's a strength. It takes courage to tell the truth, and even more courage to demand it. So never settle for half-truths or hidden motives, because you deserve relationships grounded in transparency, respect, and unwavering trust. Disloyalty and betrayal. Loyalty is one of the rarest and most valuable qualities a person can possess. It represents trust, integrity, and commitment, the unspoken agreement that someone will stand by you, defend you, and protect your confidence. When that loyalty is broken, the damage runs deep. According to Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and expert on human behavior, disloyalty and betrayal are among the most painful behaviors we can experience, and the ones we should never tolerate. They strike at the heart of trust, turning relationships into fragile illusions. Once someone betrays your faith, their actions reveal more about their character than any words ever could. Betrayal can take many forms: gossiping behind someone's back, breaking a promise, revealing private information, or abandoning someone in a moment of need. What makes betrayal so painful is that it rarely comes from strangers. It comes from people we trust. When those we care about turn against us, the emotional wound cuts deeper because it's intertwined with disappointment. We begin to question not only their loyalty, but also our own judgment in trusting them. Poumpouras often reminds us that, Loyalty is not proven in comfort. It's proven in conflict. True loyalty stands strong even when situations become difficult. Anyone can be loyal when it's easy, but only genuine people remain loyal when it's inconvenient. In professional environments, disloyalty is equally damaging. It might appear as a colleague who takes credit for your work, a team member who undermines your authority, or a superior who shifts blame to protect their image. Such actions poison the workplace culture and erode teamwork. Loyalty in the workplace means having integrity, standing up for fairness, honesty, and shared goals, even when it's risky. When people betray that trust for personal advancement, they not only damage relationships but also their own credibility. As Poumpouras explains, once someone betrays your trust, their reputation becomes their shadow. It follows them everywhere. Integrity is not something you can fake. It's a behavior that reveals itself when no one is watching. Disloyalty also shows up in personal relationships, friendships, families, and romantic partnerships. It can be as overt as cheating or as subtle as emotional neglect. Sometimes, betrayal comes from those who smile in your face but secretly wish for your failure. These are the people who celebrate your setbacks but remain silent during your successes. Poumpouras advises that such individuals should be recognized and removed from your inner circle. Loyalty is not about blind devotion. It's about mutual respect and sincerity. If someone can't be happy for you when you succeed or stand by you when you struggle, they haven't earned a place in your life. It's also important to understand that loyalty begins with self-loyalty. You cannot expect loyalty from others if you constantly betray yourself by staying in toxic situations, excusing poor behavior, or lowering your standards. Being loyal to yourself means keeping the promises you make to your own well-being. It means saying no when something feels wrong, walking away when trust is broken, and refusing to tolerate disrespect disguised as love. As Poumpouras emphasizes, self-loyalty is the foundation of self-respect. When you value yourself enough to uphold your principles, you set the tone for how others should treat you. Recovering from betrayal takes time. The pain may linger, and the temptation to harden your heart is natural. But Poumpouras reminds us that we must not let betrayal make us bitter, only wiser. Each act of disloyalty teaches us who truly deserves our trust. Instead of seeking revenge, focus on clarity. Pay attention to patterns rather than promises, and actions rather than words. Trust is earned, not given freely. Once broken, it may never return in the same way, and that's okay. Protecting your peace sometimes means closing doors permanently. In conclusion, disloyalty and betrayal are among the most unacceptable behaviors we can experience because they shatter the foundation of trust that every relationship relies on. But through awareness, self-respect, and discernment, we can learn to recognize betrayal before it strikes and to protect our hearts with wisdom rather than fear. Loyalty is not about perfection. It's about integrity, consistency, and truth. Evy Poumpouras reminds us that loyalty is a mirror of character. It reflects who people truly are when no one else is watching. So never settle for half-hearted commitment or deceptive promises, because loyalty, once lost, is almost impossible to rebuild. Guard your trust carefully, give it wisely, and demand in return the same unwavering honesty and dedication you give to others.